Senator KIRSTEN GILLIBRAND.
And I want to commend GMHC for inviting me to be part of today's kickoff event. GMHC has been there from the beginning. They were there before we even know what to call HIV/AIDS. They were there the first day when men were dying in New York and San Francisco and all across this country. And I'm very proud to say that 30 years later, GMHC is still here fighting against this disease and will win the fight against this disease. I want to take a moment to thank all of the AIDS organizations around this country that have been fighting this battle. I want to thank my colleagues. I want to thank the board of directors. I want to thank our donors. And I want to thank you, our advocates, and are willing to fight to raise money to destroy AIDS. Now, I can tell you, it's a big problem still. 50,000 Americans are diagnosed with HIV/AIDS every single year. But one thing that is changing is we have a president in the White House who is doing something about it. President Obama has created and is implementing a national HIV strategy for the first time ever. Having a strategy will make the difference of combating this disease. He has for the first time also lifted the ban for international travel for HIV-positive individuals. And the first time the International Conference on AIDS will be held in Washington, D.C. this July. Lastly, I want to thank President Obama for his stand for marriage equality. President Obama has called on all of us to make sure that we bend the arc of history towards justice. We are all called to make a difference, and being in today's AIDS Walk is exactly what you're doing. Thank you.
Woo! Hello. I love you guys too. Thank you. All right, it is now my pleasure to bring back to the mic Mr. Barrett Foa wait a second, who wrote this? Dot, no, I don't say Dot, that's me. Okay, it is now my pleasure again to bring back to the mic Barrett Foa along with comedian genius. And you ought to see this guy's mantelpiece. I mean, come on. He has 4, count them, 4 Emmys on it for his award-winning show, Frasier, as the fantastic, amazing character, Niles Crane. But wait, it gets better. He is now in previews for a new musical called The Landing at the Vineyard Theater. Seriously, if you want to see some kick-ass acting, go watch this man. Please welcome back Barrett Foa along with Mr. David Hyde Pierce.
Hi, you guys. You look fantastic. You're all so beautiful. It's amazing.
This next section is about you, so yeah. We're excited about that.
I'm so glad you're here. There's so many important reasons to be here. I know I do it mainly for the merchandise. Yes, I mean, people, you've all been so generous. You know, you can keep giving. It's like, it's not just now during the walk. You can keep giving online at AIDSWalk.net, and all the money that you give, that you get raised, they should get something for that, don't you think?
I think they should get something in return.
I think so too.
Like,
well, let's say, all right, if someone raised 100, I just out of the top of my head, right out of my head. So, say someone raised $150. What do you think they should get? 150 or more?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe. Do we have enough? We do? Okay, I just got clearance that you get a T-shirt, a free AIDS Walk T-shirt.
Okay. I think that's cool. So wait, what about if you raise like 250 or more?
I would say, hold on, wait.
Okay.
It's just in. I'm getting word.
Yes.
Free cap.
A cap. Nice, nice. Okay, let's go for the moon. You raised $500 or more. What could you possibly? I know it's hard. It's tough. Just hang on. Breathe, breathe. $500 or more. You get.
I'm gonna go with picture frame, David.
That was my guess too. That's fantastic. But here's the thing, I'm now finding this very confusing. We've got caps and t-shirts and picture frames. I can't even keep it all in my head.
Is there some kind of like a specimen or model that can come out and help display
Oh look,
these things?
Here he is wearing the fashionable AIDS Walk t-shirt, cap, and carrying the picture frame. The star of Broadway's Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Nick Adams.
You should all know that Nick, this guy over here, is a star walker. He's walking with the Broadway Impact team. He's raised more than $20,000. That, my friends, is 133.33 t-shirts that he's getting. So, you dudes can do that.
All right. Well, listen. You all know that really the money raised today, it goes to the crucial work of gay men's health crisis. So I'd like you to join us in welcoming GMHC's dynamic and compassionate Chief Executive Officer, one of America's leading voices on matters of public health, human rights, and HIV/AIDS, Dr. Marjorie Hill.
I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, dance with somebody who loves me. Okay, so 2010 was a phenomenal year. GMHC moved into our new home. Yeah, they look great, don't they? They look great. GMHC moved into our new home. There's been amazing HIV technology. And we as a society lost Whitney and just a few days ago, Donna Summer. And I'm not singing Last Dance, okay? And the whole world, the entire world stopped to recognize these two phenomenal women, to mourn their loss, and to celebrate what they've given. Well, my friends, something you know, but the people outside this part may not know. 1,700 New Yorkers died last year. 16,000 Americans died of AIDS last year. 1.8 million people worldwide died. You know that because you're here. But our challenge is not to let them die in vain, but to walk in their memory, walk in their honor, and to make sure that we walk to make sure that there's an end to AIDS on this planet. GMHC was here from the beginning when all we could do was help people die with dignity. But I'm grateful today because each and every one of you and each and every one of those people who really have my back, including my phenomenal board of directors. Because of all of you, GMHC is able to provide life-sustaining support services for over 11,000 people and HIV prevention education for thousands of Americans. Thank you for that. While much has changed in those 30 years, one thing, unfortunately, has not changed. There's still stigma against people living with HIV. There's still racism. There's still homophobia. There's still challenges that women face who are living with HIV. But as long as we have people like the person I'm about to introduce, who is slapping stigma in the face. Please join me in welcoming GMHC client, proud advocate, and my friend, David Martin.
Good morning, AIDS Walk, New York. My name is David, and I'm HIV positive. When I first learned of my diagnosis in 1987, I felt terribly ashamed. I thought I had disappointed all people who had ever invested time in me. My teachers, mentors, and friends. I thought my life was over. I was told I had 1.5 years to live. Most of my peers died of AIDS, many of whom were African American. So many died that I've lost count, and I wondered why I was still living. I had thoughts of suicide and was fighting depression, staying at home with the covers pulled over my head. I was ashamed to admit that I needed help to survive. But I finally got enough courage to face my fears and the world and say I am still alive and I plan to stay that way. GMHC was essential in helping me. I went to GMHC for legal help and the meals program when I wasn't eating enough. I also started volunteering. I trained to be a mentor, working with people who were newly diagnosed with HIV. Volunteering as a mentor has been empowering because, as I lead, I am reminded of the things that I need to do for myself. I have gained so much strength from being at GMHC. I also receive a lot of support from my mother, God bless her, and friends. If I didn't have support from people around me, I would not be here today. To know someone is in your corner is essential to living. I am now able to be fearless when I talk about my diagnosis and my journey. I can see how my story affects others and understand the power of sharing the truth. So when you walk the 6.5 miles today, tell your story. Talk about your challenges and successes, especially with the issues connected to HIV and AIDS. The best way to fight stigma is to stay vocal and visible every day. Your voice is needed, your walking is needed, your support is needed, especially for those who may be suffering in silence. I have been living with HIV for 25 years, and I have no shame about that. I stand here today pleased and proud to be able to share my story and celebrate my life with you. As Albert Einstein said, those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act. Together we can act to end AIDS. Thank you.
Thanks, David. You're an inspiration and a role model of what human beings are capable of. It's just extraordinary. Our next speaker is the founder of AIDS Walk New York and the originator of the AIDS Walk movement. The events he and his organization of activists have produced here in New York City and around the country have raised more than $370 million. Please welcome the creator and producer of AIDS Walk New York, Craig Miller.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, David. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to State Senator Joe Serrano. It's a pleasure to have you on the stage with us. In a short while, just a few minutes, we're going to conclude this opening ceremony with a very special performance that you will not want to miss. But first, please join me in thanking the more than 1,500 GMHC volunteers who got here so early this morning to help make this event such a great success. I would also like to thank and acknowledge the small but mighty staff of this year's AIDS Walk New York, and in particular our Senior Director of Creative Services, Leaf Green, our Senior Director of Campaign Operations, William Archer, and most especially our magnificent, vivacious, unrelenting, brilliant event director, Shona Borovitz. And please also join me in thanking all of our special guests who have joined us on this stage today. I want to introduce a couple people from out of state really quickly. First, I want to acknowledge the vision of both GMHC and Hyacinth Foundation of New Jersey, and the generosity of GMHC some years ago in inviting the leading AIDS organization from New Jersey into this event, to participate in this event, to receive proceeds from this event. It's been a wonderful collaboration, and on behalf of GMHC, I want to welcome and acknowledge the Hyacinth AIDS Foundation of New Jersey and their Executive Director, Kathy O'Brien. We have another out-of-state guest. This gentleman is the Executive Director of AIDS Project Los Angeles, and he is here for two reasons. The first reason is he is a key partner and collaborator of Dr. Marjorie Hills and GMHC, so we're very pleased and proud of AIDS Project Los Angeles and its leader, Mr. Craig Thompson. And in addition to supporting GMHC, he is here for a second reason. Something quite magnificent happened at this year's AIDS Walk Los Angeles. One of the longtime walkers crossed the finish line and this year raised a lifetime total of $1 million. The world's most successful AIDS Walk participant, Cynthia Park. And as we crossed the line, Craig and I and some of Cynthia's other friends said, "What can we do for you?" And she said, "Well, I would love to attend the world's largest AIDS Walk for the world's first AIDS organization." So she's here with us today at AIDS Walk New York for GMHC. Now, there's only one Cynthia Park, but I want to take a moment this year to point out some extraordinary AIDS Walk New York walkers who have made monumental achievements in their own right. And I want to make a particularly call out to our lovely friend Rita Fisher. This woman is in her 80s. You will not drag out of me the exact year, nor will we from her, but she is in our 80s. She just had open heart surgery this week. So this is the first event in about a decade and a half where she's not physically with us, but she has still raised extraordinary sums of money. She's doing well, she's upbeat, she's so excited about this year's event. In her lifetime, she has raised $820,000 for GMHC, and her name is Rita Fisher. On this stage with us is a 24-year veteran of AIDS Walk New York, who has also raised extraordinary sums and is so persistent in her efforts. And she has raised more than $330,000 for GMHC. Please say hello to Francine Golds. And lastly, and there are so many examples of great AIDS Walk New York participants, but for today, for this moment, lastly, I want to acknowledge Jeff Davis, a member of the GMHC board, who last year alone raised $123,000. Jeff Davis, GMHC, and Team Barclay. Also, following up on the words of the Senator, I also want to just remind everybody that there's a very important Keep the Promise 2012 March on Washington taking place on Sunday, July 22nd. GMHC is a key endorser of this event. Marchers will gather on the corner of 19th and Constitution Avenue at 2 p.m. and we would certainly welcome your participation. I also want to just conclude my comments by saying within the last year we lost 2 leaders of the AIDS Walk movement, of the early years of the AIDS Walk movement. Neither of them passed away from AIDS. Both of them remained remarkably committed to this fight throughout their entire adult lifetimes, and we sorely miss Mr. Larry Edelman and Mr. Steve Damiano, and I know quite a few people are walking in their honor today. And now, to conclude our opening ceremony, please welcome a fantastic singer currently starring in Broadway's Sister Act, accompanied on the piano by Andy Einhorn. Please welcome the sensational Carolee Carmelo.
Hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never
so much. Thank you all for being here today. Please give your support to the AIDS Walk volunteers and police officers working very hard today to keep today's route smooth and safe. We have an enormous crowd today. It'll take about 15 minutes to get you all out of Central Park and all out of the staging area and onto the route. Please be patient with us. Thank you so much for being here. There'll be more great music upon your return. We'll see you back here in a few hours.